Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the daily live extra. We're here with a slightly new format. Got a nice new desk, so we can.
It's kind of late, let's be honest.
It's what?
That's why we're a bit later than we planned.
Yeah, we've been putting the desk together. We're here to get into all the latest stories. The main one being Luca Digne. 4 clubs in the Premier League potentially after him. West Ham, Newcastle, Chelsea, and one unnamed Aston Villa. It's, I suppose, like, we knew he was going, but then I think the minute you start introducing clubs like Newcastle, Villa and West Ham into the hat, it just causes huge problems for the fan base, whereas beforehand, like Chelsea, fair enough, Champions League, another country, fair enough, but the minute you start adding teams who are supposed to be our direct competition, the minute it causes problems.
I know, but what can you do? Obviously, I mean, there's some fanciful Evertonians who think that Michaelenko's being brought in as a backup for Luca Digne when Everton haven't got much room to spend money in the transfer market. So if you're spending £17 million on a left back when you've already got a left back, it tells you everything you need to know, doesn't it? That money would have been spent elsewhere. So we know that Luca Digne is on his way. It's obviously, on one hand, it's gutting because he's a really good footballer. We've seen that. But whether we like Rafa Benitez or we don't, the manager's made a decision here, or the football club have made the decision, whichever one it is. And therefore, if that decision has been taken because Luca Digne no longer wants to play for Everton, or doesn't buy into what the manager's doing and therefore causing issues. And I know that Sky Sports have ran with the attitude issue today now with Luca Digne, which we know has been bouncing around. Then the manager's going to make that decision to get rid, rightly or wrongly. And he's made that decision, and Everton have brought the replacements in. You're right, once you start seeing teams like West Ham and Villa and Newcastle in the mix, Chelsea's quite palatable because they're the champions of Europe. They're in the race for the Premier League. They win trophies, so you kind of go, all right, that's a progression step. And yes, the others, Newcastle to me would be all about the money if he went there. And ironically, that's, if you're looking at it from a purely business perspective, they're probably the club you want to sell to, because they're probably the club you can squeeze the most money out of. They're desperate. The bottom of the league or second to bottom, they're struggling. They're going to have it's going to be very difficult for them to remain in the Premier League, so they're going to spend a lot of money this window to try to do it. I think if he went to Villa or West Ham, it would be one of those. But if he's going to go, we need someone who's going to pay the money. Yeah, there's a few foreign clubs looking at him, but it's all loans. Napoli, and we know there's no money in Inter. We know that Napoli haven't got a lot of money. So sadly, he's gonna go out the door, and I personally hope it's to Chelsea. I think I can handle that one more. But like I said, maybe from a business perspective, Everton would want it to be Newcastle because they could probably get a little bit more. And let's be honest, if you're Everton and these 4 teams are circling, you're made up because you're thinking, well, there's a little bit of a bidding war going to go on.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one key element. It just feels like, I just don't like the idea of selling to a rival, even though we need the money, because they're all, apart from Chelsea, they're all within, one way or another, in and around us. And I've got no real problems selling Luca Digne. I think financially it makes sense. We've brought a replacement in. Him and the manager, clearly different ways of looking. I know people will side with the player because they don't like the manager. Yeah, fair enough, I understand that. But footballers leave football clubs. That's the way it is. He's 29 at the beginning of next season. So if we write this season off and say we're starting afresh next 29, can get good money for him now, and his replacement in the door. It makes sense. It's the kind of business we've been saying Everton should have been doing for ages, and we haven't been doing. So from that point of view, it makes sense to me. But obviously, we don't want to be seen to be losing players to clubs around us.
But I mean, the only kind of comfort I take in this, where that is, because you're absolutely right, that's the worst thing that can happen to football clubs, fans of football clubs anyway, is that if Luca Digne would have been playing in our first team and seemingly happy, and then these teams come in and he's going, I would be devastated. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the fact that he's been out the team since the derby was the 1st of December. But in January, he's not being involved in the team. He was sub on Sunday. There was no chance he was coming on. And he probably should have done the way that game went. So there's no way back for him in that. He's only really going because of the fallout. He's not going because he's gone, this club isn't going anywhere and I want to join Newcastle or I want to join them. He's going because, him and the manager have had a fallout. And therefore he knows he's not going to play.
Do you think if they hadn't had the fallout though, Everton would have been looking to sell him? Because they've had Michael Enker on the obviously on the board for a while. You know, to go from a fallout in December to a new player signing on the 1st of January, I mean, that takes a lot of work.
Yeah, I think Michaelenko was always going to come here. I think Everton have had that been bubbling for a while. For all we know, this fallout started in October, and the manager's gone, right, let's cut it. Let's cut him when we can. But Everton might have. We know last summer Man City was sniffing around, didn't want to pay what Everton wanted for him. We know Michael Beck, who former Middlesbrough striker, his agent, through different mediums, has kind of said, which makes the Newcastle thing not add up, because he's been saying he needs to move to a UCL club.
Well, as he though, because I mean, he might have, but what I mean by that is that he wants to play football so he can get him. He wants to play in the way he wants to play. He wants to be in the France squad for the World Cup in November, December. He wants to play in his way. You know, I think that's why he came to Everton. That's why he's always seemed happy at Everton. He's been at big clubs. He's been second fiddle at big clubs.
Yeah.
It's not done him any good. I've said this a few times. He missed out on the World Cup. If he'd been playing regular football for anybody in, when was the last World Cup? I can't even remember. Russia, 2018. If he'd been playing any kind of football at that time, he'd probably have a World Cup medal in his back pocket now.
Yeah, he would. Yeah.
And he's probably looked at that thinking, I've missed out. So that's why he was happy to play at Everton. And there's part of me thinks that he'd probably be happy to play at any of those clubs. Newcastle wouldn't be ideal, but something like the next project, aren't we? Talking about a club that have got money. They're bringing Trippier in, and people look at that thinking that's a bit mad, but they need short-term answers. Dean would be a short-term answer for them, to get them out of the situation. If they got out the situation, then they'd probably have a half-decent summer in the transfer window and then look to start building. And if it got him to the World Cup, I'm sure he'd be quite happy with that. And Luca Digne's always struck me as a fella who it's like, if he's happy in life on the pitch, doesn't need all the bells and whistles, because he's been there and seen, being at those clubs. He's been, he's been at one of the biggest clubs in the world, or played second fiddle. He left and so he obviously is happiest when he's just playing football.
Yeah, like I said, it'll be interesting to see where he goes. I think if you're Chelsea, I would buy him. I think 25, 26 million, I'd buy him, because he's 28, 29 in the summer, but you've got Ben Chilwell, who's obviously your number one. I think Alonso was going the other way, isn't he? He's getting on now as well. I think Luca Digne gives you that lovely balance. They're a team that's going to be in and around the Champions League, aren't they? Every year. You would have, or for the next couple of years at least. They've been there for years, so why would they change? Therefore, there's plenty of games to play. Yeah. And they go far generally in the cups. So why wouldn't you take your chance on?
But then for him, would that be the right move? Because like I've just said, he's played.
Chelsea. Well, this year, Pet, because he's got no. Who's replacing him for the rest of the season?
I don't know. I'm just saying. That's what I'm saying.
With Ben Chilwell being out, so Chilwell's going to be out. So Luca Digne's going to play the whole season. They're talking Chilwell August, September not to come back, right? So Digne could play the rest of this season. Champions League football, a team that's going to be in the top three. Yeah, could potentially still win the league. Of course, they could. So they're going to be up. They'd probably go far in the FA Cup. He's going to finish the season. He'll be back in the France team then, because he's playing for Chelsea, and then you're only talking kind of 6 or 7 weeks at the start of next season before they all go off to Qatar. So he'll have already, I imagine, created enough momentum. But what's it better if you're the French manager, right? What's it better for you to have this player that's playing Champions League football and at the top end of the Premier League, right? And then the start of next season maybe in and around, playing in and out Europe and stuff, or have a player that's at the bottom of the Premier League play for a team that's getting stuffed every week like they are. You're going to go with the one who's got more experience playing at a high level, and that's where Luca Digne, for me, Chelsea would be better for him, personally. I think from his perspective. I think short.
Listen, if you're talking about getting into the World Cup, then you're probably right. After that, does it really matter? That's what his aim is. His aim clearly is the World Cup. After that, does it matter?
It's up to Chilwell then to oust him then, isn't it, if he gets a good run of form?
He's still got plenty of options. After I'd be 29, be 30 going into the season afterwards. He's still got options. So
get another move after that.
Go back to France.
Exactly. At 30, be great.
And why wouldn't you want to live in London or be around London? Because the train, he's from Lille, isn't he?
Oh, Lille, yeah.
It stops at Lille.
There you go.
I went to Lille when I went to
there you go.
Lyon, so, it's that easy.
He's buzzing.
And yeah, boss baguettes there.
I think the thing about it is just, I think from an Everton perspective, I hope it's done very quickly.
Yeah.
Because that money comes in and we can go on, and we've already seen, we heard Rafa Benitez last week saying he wants 2 or 3 this window, we'll 2 it in. We've now seen something's come out the echo.
I've had the. What do you make of that? Another winger?
But we knew that in the summer. Tried to get Luis Diaz.
No, I know, but I just think with
why did they go? Well, Jamie Carragher.
I don't know. I mean, what you need another winger for? You've got the exciting silence of young Anthony Gordon coming through the ranks.
See, is it a winger or is it
a number 10?
Is it Coutinho?
Well, Coutinho's been linked with Villa.
I don't know, but
going back to his own. So we said this yesterday, though. I would have no problem with Coutinho for the rest of the season on loan. They pay most of his wages. I have no problem with that. Part of me, I mean, I'd find that we had a chat yesterday on, what were we on yesterday? Was we on the Live at 5 or whatever? Patreon, or no, Tuesday topic on Patreon. Yeah. And we were talking about what would you rather have coming back, a red or a rat? And that's all you need. If you want to watch you need to watch the videos on Patreon. Links in the description to join us on Patreon. Great time, start of the month, always a good time to join. A red or a rat, and we decided we'd probably rather have a red than a rat. So
I still think Ross Barkley.
Oh, why did you bring his name up?
I think Ross Barkley has got the attributes that Everton need. Is there other options? Is there other Ross Barkleys around? That's the biggest thing, isn't it?
No, there's not.
But it's people who can travel with the ball. Coutinho does do it. If it was a loan till the end.
But why are we always linked with tainted goods though? Why can't we be the team that are like? Oh, don't get me wrong, we just brought in 2 young kids. So,
exactly.
But why can't we be the team that are linked with that up and coming young?
But
player who plays for a club beginning with Red Bull or something.
Yeah, but I guess they're the summer transfer ones, aren't they? This is literally.
No.
I spoke to the Piv about this morning. He was like, why are we always just this season? Why is it always this season focused? And I was saying, well, for Benitez, he's told everyone the second half's going to be good.
It's going to be great.
So he's told the owner, and what he said to the owner is probably the reason why he's still here, is, well, hang on, mate, you give me nothing in the summer, and we've had every single player's been injured. Every single player now, bar Michael Keane, I think, has been injured this season. So that's why we're where we are. But when we get the other side of the thing and we get all our players back and you give me a bit of money in a transfer market, we're going to be up in the top 8. That's what he's told the owner.
Yeah, of course.
Exactly. So that may be why he's still in the job. Yeah, the owner's like, oh, well, there we go then, let's see. Because we're now into the other, it's the FA Cup. Everton go out the FA Cup at the weekend. Then I think
then we'll have 2 free weekends at the end of
January to play the 2 league games. I think he might. I think then the pressure would really, the heat would really be on him for the simple reason that where's the excuse then?
Cup.
Another trophy's gone. Yeah. You can't keep going. Oh, yeah, it'll get better. Yeah. So I think that's why we're probably looking and going, well, if we can grab a Phil Coutinho in on loan for 5 months and just get through to May.
Let's get into the comments. I'm just going to go on Patreon, right? There's Patreon people. We'll talk about Graham Sharp at live. Well, we'll talk about Graham Sharp at Live at 5.
Well, Mary Jackson just on here says, are you happy with the news about Graham Sharp? Well, me and Pat have just watched the Bayern Munich documentary, and their club's basically run by ex-players, and they use that wealth of experience.
But we'll talk about that on Live at 5 because
I'm not I'm not unhappy.
Paz says, I see the Dean move a different way. If no big clubs are coming in for him, maybe he's past his best, and it's better for us to get the lower teams to spend their money, and we lower the age of our fullbacks. Fair point. Jake Ablett says we cannot sell or especially loan Dean to another club in the Premier League. It doesn't make sense. Gary Ward says I don't care where he goes as long as we extort the largest fee possible. I do agree with in a way about the Premier League one. I have no problem selling to Chelsea because they're not really in our league, are they? They're in the Champions League. You know, they inhabit areas of the Premier League that we're not allowed to go. It's like, like the way when you go to Harrods and you feel that weird and you buy something for about £3. You know, it's like that. You shouldn't really be in there. You haven't got the money. You know, don't bother. Walk past and go to the Aldi. You get more value in the middle aisle. So they're in a different league. But you're right. This is where the anger will come from. If this is where Benitez, this is where the decision making from the club has got. They've got to get it spot on. They've got to get it spot on. And you almost feel like they need to sign another player before they sold Luca Digne to just try and get it all. Well, we certainly need. I'll be honest. I'd prefer next week 6 points than anything. So.
Yeah, well, they're two huge games, aren't they?
Of course.
Everton could get 6 points out of next week, even 4 points, but 6 points out of next week would make everybody feel happy about everything, wouldn't it? So make sure you subscribe if you haven't. Hit that like button as well. Thank you for joining us. So Daniel Graham says he's 29. Cash in now.
He's not. He's 28.
He's 28.
Let's not do that thing.
He's 28 in June, isn't he? But says let's cash in now while he's still got some decent value. And let's be honest, right? We've said this before, haven't we? Other clubs seem to know when to sell players. Yeah. Everton tend to keep older players too long. Ideally, we wouldn't be selling them, but now might be the right time to sell him. You're replacing him with a 22-year-old. So who knows if there'll be a big drop-off. Because a few people have pointed out to me, well, what they've said is Dean's not been the same player for 18 months. The first 2 seasons, he was incredible, and then the last 2, he's been going the other way. I'm not sure whether I fully agree with that, but he certainly isn't as effective as he was in the opening 2 seasons.
I think Luca Digne in a good side be tremendous. I really do.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I think there's certain players who can be
nice footballer, isn't he?
Dragged down to a level that they don't want to be at. When good players like playing with other good players, really, really amazing players make bad teams good. Yeah. But he's a good player, and I think in a good side you'd see a lot more and obviously in a style that suits the way he plays as well. Sometimes you look at players and you just go, you're completely wasted in our team. I mean, we know with the most famous ones when we had Beardsley, yeah. And we used to sit. People go to the match every week and just go,
he's too good.
What is going on?
I don't think Dean's too good.
No, I don't think he's too good. But that's what I'm saying. I don't think he's too good. What I mean is that if he was complemented by better players who were on playing a style that he wants to play in, I think it would help him as a player.
I think also as well.
Happy, you want to be happy.
It has to be a case of the attitude as well has got to be right. And the managers, whether you agree with them or not, the managers said quite a few times, we only want players who want to be here. And that is the dig at Luca Digne, obviously. Yeah. The player doesn't want to be here, so
we'll do the game sharp stuff at 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
we'll do that. We'll do that at 5 o'clock. So make sure you come back at 5 o'clock and have your say on the game.
He was asking, are we live at 5 tonight?
We will be live at 5, and we'll get into the game sharp stuff. Then we'll have a chat about that. This is more just focused on the transfers and stuff. Otherwise, we'd be here all day.
Yeah. But I mean, just back on, we touched on it before about when we got into Barkley and Coutinho, but they've said 2 more. We know that he's after the centre midfielder.
Yeah.
I imagine it's Sean Longstaff, which is fine for now, I guess. If you trade out a few of Everton's midfield players who are on the bench and have Longstaff there for now, I think that's okay. I think, again, I'd be wanting better in the summer, but if he became part of the squad as you back up, then I think that's okay. He's at a good age as well. He's 24. Premier League experience. Listen, he's not one to get you. He's not going to make anyone excited.
Do you know all I think of
Is
when I
he?
think of him? Danny Williamson. It was a name that loads of our viewers won't even remember. Won't even remember.
You don't want to remember him. Is the
Poor
reality.
Danny Williamson.
He had 10 to 2 feet.
I know, but poor
like
Danny
that.
Williamson.
Well,
He was
that's
going to be the next big thing. Come to Everton from West Ham, and that was it. How many games did he play?
20 odd.
Sad that, isn't it? That was, he was
Got an injury as well, but he was.
No, I'm saying it was the injury, wasn't it?
He
that
played
finished him?
nice. He was in a nice football team at West Ham, and he come here, and we had to scrap.
And the irony is, we let Gavin McCann go to Sunderland, and he was exactly the kind of player we
Gavin
needed.
McCann was way better. Way
But
better.
that was a long time ago.
What can you do? But I don't know. I mean, regardless, people don't like Longstaff. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. He's not. I mean, there's Dennis Zakaria or people like that would be the players I would be going for. There's lots of midfield players who are better than Sean Longstaff. But he's English. He's 24. He's had a contract in the summer. The manager knows him. He can get about the pitch. I just feel like that's who Everton will go and get.
Yeah.
In terms of, so if that then means that we then go and get Barkley and or Coutinho on loan, and then I guess we just get through to the summer and have to reassess again.
Richie Dean says, can't help thinking if Benitez had been fired by now, Dean wouldn't want to leave. Imagine having him and the new signing. Wouldn't that be an ideal situation? No, because we need money. Like, like this is the situation we're in now. And maybe you could go, well, yeah, we need money because we've just bought a replacement, so it's sort of a bit like chicken and egg, isn't it? But I'm trying to think about this logically. I'm trying to take Benitez out the situation. I'm trying to think about this, right? If I was a director, let's say I walked into Everton and I was a director of football now. Take the manager out the situation. The way I look at it now is, if I've got an asset who's 28, 29 at the start of next season, because that's the way I'm thinking. I'm building for next season. 29 next season on a big wage. And I've got a chance for the rest of the season to have a young lad. But he's not young in terms of 16, 17. He's a lad who's played professional football for 4 or 5 years at the highest level of his country. International, Champions League. I've brought him in for maybe just over half that I could sell the left back for, on half of the wages. And on top of that, I can bring in the right back I need, who is a bit younger, who is a little bit greener, but then he could be our right back for the next 10 years. If I'm a director of football, if I'm looking round, if I'm listening, if I'm looking at what Leicester are doing, if I'm looking at what other clubs are doing out there all over Europe, the Lyons of the world and people like this, Lille's of the world, and people like this, I look at it and think that is exactly the model Everton should be doing. We've got sellable assets. Jordan Pickford's a sellable asset, but you really want to sell him now? He's looks brilliant for us. He's calmed down. We've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin that, you could see on Sunday in the second half, the difference, that little bit of bringing it down, a little bit of class, dropping deep, getting involved in the game. Richarlison, who we all love, daft as a brush, but we all love him to bits. Do you really want to, if someone was to say to you, they're the 4 players you've got to sell, one of them 4 right now, do you want to start turning this squad around? Luca Digne would be my number 1. Not even a question mark over that. I don't know. Would he be yours out of those 4?
Yeah. He would, because I think we can cope with. We can cope without him. Where the others, it's more difficult.
And I think that's the situation people have got to start looking at. We are right up to the line on FFP, but all we want is new signings, because we need new signings. So something has to give, which means selling. The other side of that is, in the summer, 4 players are going to leave Everton Football Club on free transfers. Free. We're going to get nothing back for them. Nothing back for those players. Do we want that? How often do we bemoan? How many players have walked out the club for nothing, and we've put money into them? Big wages, big fee. We've got an opportunity now to sell a 28-year-old for more than we paid for him, and we've got his replacement line already in the club. Take the emotion out of it. Take Benitez out of it. If I was a director of football, that would make sense to me. But that's just me. Everyone's got their own opinions, and that's fine. I think the Benitez situation is clouding it, though, because it feels like you've got to be on board with Benitez or Dean. Like, I'm not on board with Adam. No, I'm on board with Everton Football Club. That's who I'm on board with. That's what is the consistent. Benitez won't be here longer than me, and Luca Digne won't be here longer than me. So I just want the best for the football club, and I actually think Luca Digne leaving and helping bring money in might be the best thing for everybody. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, it does. It makes sense from a football perspective. You speak to people who aren't emotional about it. Speak to people who work in football, and they're like, "What's the problem?" It's 29 soon. What's the problem? This is how football teams should be working. When you're a fan and you haven't got loads to be excited about, losing your good players is always going to be a difficult one, a difficult pill to swallow.
Kev Rex says, please sell him to Chelsea or someone abroad, not to Newcastle or West Ham, as they are going to be competing in the league. Be it relegation battle or challenge for Europe. Really happy with the signings. I personally would like to see a few more come in on loan, and a midfield winger and centre half. And then he's just... I don't think Dom hasn't had an injury setback. He's had a bit of tightness in the injury, apparently, which basically means he feels stiff. You know, like we all would. Lozenge says centre-back and a midfielder easily before a winger. The video with the Rangers fan was great for insight. Really enjoyed it. That's about Patterson. That'll be on YouTube later on. Paul says, more importantly, is the couch still there, boys? The new look looks too formal. The couch is there. It's over there. It's where it's always been, and it's staying there.
Where do you think the couch has gone?
I know. He thinks that's the finest couch available on mail order from China. That Cam and Ned broke while wrestling. Yeah. That is held up with books, and that's a true story. True story. But it's there, and it will always be in play. This is like, you know, you're saying more formal. I think these shows need a bit of formality, especially as every time you look at me over there, I'm like down here somewhere, and all you can see is a big gut hanging out. So I want, you know, this is slimming as far as I'm concerned. This is Weight Watchers for me, having something covering me. Sure. Although I am back in the gym next week at Harry, which is good. Yeah. Paul says sell to the highest bidder, and he also remembers Williamson. We need to do like a series on lost Everton players, don't we? Yeah. To educate the viewers, because there'll be people out there going, "Who's Danny Williamson?" Well, in the late 90s, Danny Williamson was a very, very hot prospect, and then he signed for Everton.
We could do it and like build them up. Yeah, the transfer. This is who we're getting. This is what you
say. No more, because I've got a good idea, and I don't want. You know, we're on.
It'll go somewhere else.
Someone will get in there.
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, that's the stuff bobbling around today. There'll be more links as we go through the window, won't there? There's 26 days left of the transfer window, which means we'll be here most days talking about the latest links. Yeah.
Most days.
And hopefully Everton... Well, we won't be in the weekends, will we?
No.
So hopefully...
Just say weekdays then?
No, weekdays, yeah. Hopefully Everton will... Thingy. Blue Nose Dublin says that those shirts really there, or is it false? There they are, mate.
They're there. Dunk shirt.
There they are.
The rainbow toffees. I don't know if you can get that in. There you go. Rainbow toffees. There's right there. No, they're really there. It's not green screen. It's a real set.
Listen.
The green screen's there. The green screen's there.
The other.
We'll put a little. We'll do it. You know what? We'll do a little video and we'll put on YouTube. Just a little short. A little tour of the studio. How about that?
There you go. Yeah. Poker Bro says Salawobi 15 million, Holgate 10 million, Kenny 6 million, Luca Digne 25 million. Well, first of all, John Joe Kenny's out of contract in 4 months. We won't get anything for him. Mason Holgate, fine. The Subayeri will pay 10 million for him. Iwobi, I think Everton would be dancing in the streets if they could get £15 million for Alex Iwobi. Like David Bowie and Mick Jagger. Yeah, I expect contract Dave and it'd have to be Rafa, wouldn't it? I guess. No.
Rafa wouldn't fit into
that. Contract Dave and it'd be Bill, because Bill's probably... No.
Well, Bill he'd be like behind.
Well, who could it be? Denise? Yeah. So he just, okay. Then so you go doing the faces and dancing up and down the street, dancing. And when he sat singing to the side of them, giving it all.
This is my best Jagger.
That's what... Who would Dave contract Dave be? Jagger or Bowie?
Oh, Bowie's cool.
Cool, yeah.
He's cool. Jagger's not cool.
So Denise
Jagger's never been cool.
Should be giving it all
Bowie is the cool one.
There you go.
Let's be honest.
There you go.
Bowie predicted the end of the world because of the internet 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
There you go. He got it spot on.
Will
and
Long...
he was in Labyrinth.
Yeah.
The Goblin King.
Say not more. Say no more.
Hey, say the word. The Goblin King.
Yeah, I'm saying nothing. Will Longworth says, would you go for Anthony or Noah Lang for wingers? Both bargains. Yeah, but they cost money, Will, don't they? I'd like Mathew as well. He's brilliant, but they cost money.
Is a tremendous story for you, just to bring you down, your day down.
Okay.
Borussia Dortmund and Angers are close to reaching...
Angers, but yeah.
Yeah. Angers?
Yeah.
English?
Go on,
a €20 million agreement on 17-year-old Muhammad Ali Show, according to Football Mercado. He will be immediately loaned back to the League One side. Whose academy was Muhammad Ali Show in till about a year ago?
Yeah.
Was his path blocked? Was it?
He famously had a conversation with Marcel Brands and then left the club. So make of that what you will. Same kind of conversation Terry Small had with Marcel Brands.
€20 million. He's going to Borussia Dortmund, and he's an ex-Everton academy player. There you go.
Left, just over a year ago.
Well done, Everton. So they'll have Haaland and him.
They won't have Haaland in the summer, but yeah, Muhammad Ali Joe.
There you go.
Looks good. 17, done well.
There you go.
But an academy story for you. Off we go. Yeah. Let's just leave it there. You've depressed everybody. Ben James says, "Can I just say what a great series Anne is?"
Oh, it's tremendous. Tremendous.
Yeah. So there you go. Make sure you hit that like button. Thanks for joining us. We will be back tomorrow. We'll be back at Live at 5 later.
We will.
To discuss, amongst other things, Graham Sharp becoming a board member at Everton Football Club. So if you've got time at 5 o'clock, come back and we will be discussing more of that. And then, of course, anything else that happens in the next couple of hours. Let's do it. Hit the like button, though, and make sure you subscribe if you haven't.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching.
See you later.
See you later.